Hello, this is Joseph Fleury, Reading's Associate Conservation Commission member, stepping in for Chuck Tironi. This meeting will be conducted in person and remote format consistent with Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, which further extends certain COVID-19 measures regarding remote participation in public meetings until June 30th, 2027. Please note, not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and any other items not listed may be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. This agenda includes those matters which can be reasonably anticipated to be discussed at the meeting. Yep.
So Walter believes the camera is supposed to light up. I see RCTV here.
It should be on.
Okay, let's go ahead.
Yep. So please note that this meeting is being recorded. All materials for the meeting are available at the following link, which I'll drop in the chat. Brian Bowe, Commission Chair, will facilitate the meeting. Please note that there will be a public comment period for each hearing. Each vote taken during this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. We begin with a roll call attendance. Brian, can you please review tonight's agenda?
Sure. Review the agenda first. We have several hearings. The first is a continuation for 281 Main Street. That's a notice of intent. And then we have a couple of enforcement matters. The first is 10 Brentwood Drive, and the next is 38 Bond Street. That's it for our hearings tonight. And we have a number of discussion vote items, an update on Town Forest Committee, an update on our Mass Trails grant application. And then we have a request for certificate of compliance, which has already been continued. Old new business, conservation staff, DPW coordination meeting, and then violation notices. There'll be no administrator's report tonight, and then minutes for approval. Having said that, let's do the attendance. Has Chirag come on yet? Okay, is it? Walter.
Walter Talbot, member present.
Tim.
Michelle, member present.
Rick Keough, member present.
Martha Moore, vice chair, present.
Brian Bowe, chair, present. Joe.
And Joseph Fleury, associate member, present.
Joe Camilo Strachey.
Yep. I don't see him in here yet.
Chirag, can you introduce yourself and say you're present?
Not in yet.
And do it anyway.
Nothing's popped up yet. I think he's joined.
Unless he's a phone number. 323925 is the last four.
Did he send you a text asking to get let in?
Is he on the right link? I don't see it on here or here. But he's in. There we go.
You see him?
See a DM.
Yeah.
Would that be Chirag or?
And you ask what he's coming in as?
Won't let me join.
We're not seeing his name.
Yeah,
Can
I'm
you
not
double
seeing
check his link?
Not seeing that in here.
Are you coming in as Chirac? It says members outside the organization are not allowed to join this meeting chat.
Oh, he's doing the chat line.
Ask
Go do
the
The
chat,
other
the
link.
other link.
oh,
do the
link
other
of the
one.
other link, Chirac.
You're on the left.
Yep, all right, bye.
Okay, we'll start and then have him join when he gets here.
Yes.
That's right.
Oh, the correct link wasn't
Yep.
clickable, says Chris Haley.
Yeah.
That's odd.
Okay, Chirag, can you introduce yourself and say you're present, please?
Sorry about that. I'm here. Thank you.
Can you give us your name?
Chirag Stalekar, member present.
Okay, thank you. Okay, 281 Main Street. This is a continuation of public hearing for notice of intent. Is there anybody here for that hearing? Or
Sorry about
anybody-
that. I'm here. Thank you.
Sorry, who was that?
Schrock.
Okay,
No, it was just me. Sorry.
oh, gotcha. Anybody here for 281 Main Street? Okay, so this is the one we were waiting for a report to come in from the wetland scientist. So nothing was posted, so we can't, anything to talk about. So we need to continue this. We should continue it to the next meeting, so can I have a motion to continue 281 Main Street to July
We already
22nd.
did continue that. You want to do it just in case?
Yep.
Okay, I move to continue 281 Main Street to July 22nd.
Walter Talbot's in favor. Oh, pardon me, Walter Talbot seconds. Walter Talbot's in favor.
Michelle in favor.
Rick Keough in favor.
Martha Moore in favor.
Brian
Chirag
Bowe.
Staliker in favor. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, you're right.
Chirag Staliker in favor.
Brian Bowe in favor. For other votes, can you come in before Martha and after Joe?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
After
Not after Joe.
after Rick.
Rick.
After Rick.
well,
That's Joe.
Joe doesn't
no, I
vote.
just called you Joe. I apologize to your wife. Okay, so next is 10 Brentwood Drive. This is an enforcement discussion. This is regarding alleged unauthorized tree removal and land alteration activities within the area potentially subject to the jurisdiction of the Reading Conservation Commission, including the 100-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland. The commission will discuss site conditions, applicable permitting requirements under MGLC 131, paragraph 40, and the Reading Wetlands Protection Bylaw, and potential enforcement actions, including the filing of an application, restoration requirements, and/or issuance of an enforcement order. So having said that, let me just quickly cover the situation. So we had a resident contact the office to say that there was work being done where they thought was near the wetlands. So of course, we're required to check out any report like that. So I went out there to 10 Brentwood and I saw that there in fact had been work done. Before I went, I checked the GIS, which is not 100% accurate, but it gives you an indication. And according to the GIS, the wetlands buffer comes close or even perhaps a little bit over the back of the property. And the work was done basically up to the back of the property, so clearly within the 100 feet from the, in the buffer zone, 100 feet from the wetland. So based on that, Chuck wrote up an enforcement letter, which we dropped off in the door. And I stopped by a couple of times during the day and I finally connected in the evening with the homeowners there. So at this point, I mean, they've agreed to come here tonight for this, for us to talk about it as I read. And so do you want to add anything to that? If you do, just please come up, introduce yourselves. Any other information you want to add to what I said?
I guess just how we got to where we are.
Can you come up here and give us your name and address, please? Although we know what that is.
So I'm Sherry Souther, resident and owner of 10 Brentwood Drive. So we recently bought the property. The property was previously owned by an elderly woman and then was inherited and rented. So the property really, the land hadn't been maintained. It was overgrown. So we purchased it and there was a lot of poison ivy, poison sumac, like invasive species coming into the area. So I have young nieces and nephews, they want to come play. We want to use the property for different things, so we decided to clear it. I researched that you don't need a permit to take down trees or clear your own private property, which I looked on the website. And then
Can I ask you where you saw that
the Reading Town website,
and where to say that you can take down trees on your property?
I don't remember exactly.
Okay, well, for the record, if it's within certain distances of wetland resources,
Okay.
then buffer zones apply. 100 feet to a wetland, 200 feet to a river, a stream, 100 feet to a vernal pool, and so forth. So it's not carte blanche.
Okay,
Go ahead.
so then I did know that there are restrictions on conservation land. So I said, let me pull a map and see what is directly behind our property. And I realized that behind our property is private property owned by the individual 2 doors down to our right. So I knew at that point it wasn't conservation land. So I thought we were okay. I have no idea that there are limitations on privately owned property if it is considered a wetland. No idea. I grew up in Reading. We had conservation land behind our house, and I 100% did know there were restrictions on what you can do in conservation land. I did not know there were restrictions on privately owned
Again,
property.
for the record, there's 2 different things. There's conservation land, not all of which is wetlands. And then there's just conservation land, which is uplands, and it's just being protected in general. So the issue here is the wetlands and the wetland buffer.
Right, now we know that. We didn't know that before, and we thought we were okay up to our property line.
Okay.
Um,
All right, we got it. So at this point, even though you didn't know, that's not, I'm gonna say an excuse, but that sounds too harsh, but that's not an acceptable reason, not knowing. And so the first thing we have to do is to agree that there is a violation. And given that it's well within 100 feet of the resource, there's at least a violation of the 100-foot buffer. Additionally, there may be a violation, because again, if you look at that GIS and you turn on contours, you'll see that there's a 100-foot contour that runs into the back 1/8 of your right-hand side of your property. That's the same elevation as the wetland itself. So that, in fact, may actually be a resource. That may be wetland, even though it didn't appear, it was wooded or whatever when you got there. So that's something that we have to determine. So what I'm going to say here is that you need to hire a professional wetland scientist
mhm.
to delineate the wetland. And part of the problem here is that the land has been cleared. So there's no vegetation, and the type of vegetation is one of the indicators for a wetland. And so what the regulations say is then you fall back on soil, what the soil looks like. And I know when I was there talking to you folks, I saw some gray soil, which is an indicator. It's not absolute, but it's an indicator. So that's another reason why we need a wetland scientist to delineate it. And delineate is just a formal term for survey where it is
Mhm.
and put flags around the boundary. So based on that, we can then know what actions are to be taken. So that's the first step. Let's see, so actually, so we also need to do a site visit as a commission, because I've seen it from in the backyard with you, standing at the equipment. Anybody else who has seen it has seen it from the street.
Mhm.
And so we need to go there. Another thing we need to get a handle on is how many trees were removed. Do you want to go up there? And how many trees would you say you took down?
Well, I
Can you
counted,
go up here and introduce yourself, please?
so I took down 4. The rest of it was falling down. It was in the ground, and I just cut them.
So there were four,
4, I took it
and the
down.
rest were on the ground?
Yes.
There was large decaying dead trees that had fallen over that nobody had
Okay.
attended to. There
So-
was some
He
partially,
needs to introduce himself.
Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't. introduce
Massimo
yourself.
Paola,
Sorry, I should have caught that.
sorry.
Um. All right, so, that's yet another reason for us to go out there on a site visit. Because we actually have the pictures taken from the listing. And there's a couple of pictures of the backyard. And while there are some in it that are visibly leaning, there appear to be many more trees than 4 that have been removed. So I think what we'll do is go there on a site visit and compare what we see in person with what is in the picture to look for roughly how many were taken going back to what's left there now. If my memory serves, you basically cleared back to the stone wall, right? So
yeah,
the full extent of your property has been cleared. So that's the next step, is to figure out the tree count. Let's see. Go
I
ahead.
know there were some concerns with what we plan to do with the property. And,
I was going to get to that for sure.
okay, okay,
So that brings me to the plans that we need. So we do need a plan from you for what you propose to do. You know, you propose to clear it, so you mark all the trees that are removed. That's going to be hard. We'll work with you to get that count. And that plan needs to include what you're going to do to restore the situation. What are you going to do to address the violations? So the violations for sure are taking down trees without a permit. For sure, it's violating the 100-foot buffer, and potentially it's the wetland resource itself, depending on what the wetland scientist determines for the actual boundary of the wetland. Right, so that's a plan that you need to put together. And I know you have some interest in getting this done. We have interest in getting this back on the way towards being healthy. So that plan, I think you should be able to pull together by our next meeting, which is the 22nd.
okay.
So, sorry, you want to say something?
I just, don't want there to be any misconceptions about who we are and that we disrespect the environment, because that is so far from the truth. And I know there are concerns about, we come in from the city and we just want to tear everything down and we want to spray chemicals. Nothing in my house is toxic and there will be no chemicals sprayed on our property. That is 100% true.
Glad to hear.
We deeply respect the environment. Actually, we wanted to mimic our backyard like the Rose Kennedy Greenway. That was my dream. I would like to have a pollinator garden. We want to have a vegetable garden, you know, space to use it while respecting the native plants and replanting.
Well, that's actually right in line. I said that we need to have you, as part of your plan, put down what you're going to do to remediate it. So that would include a planting plan. So in this plot plan, showing what you propose to do, it should include what you intend to do for replanting.
Mhm.
So what trees and where, what shrubs, if any, and where, what ground cover and where. If you're going to do a pollinator garden, that's great. Where? So we need to have something in the record that we can look at now to approve it, and also whenever you come for certificate of compliance, so we can see that you did what you were supposed to do. So that's why you have to have it in the record. So that's good. That's part of it. The plan for what you're going to do, both with the property itself, and then what you're going to do for replanting.
We'll have to study the sun. That's what we've been trying to do, to see what plants will thrive and survive in certain areas of the property. And that will, you know, we'll do that over the next week or two.
Right? And to help, not to entirely take that away from you. But we do have some lists on the website that show plants, shrubs, trees that survive better in wetlands, near wetlands, that can help.
And that's
Shrubs.
on the Reading Town website,
It's on the Conservation Division website right
the
now.
Massachusetts Conservation website, no,
No, the town of Reading. And
Okay.
under that, you go to the divisions. It's
Yeah.
the Conservation Division. Bunch of options on the left-hand side. One of them has to do with, I think it might say native species or something like that, but should be clear. And
okay,
if it's not, you should contact Chuck and he'll be happy to help you with that.
oh, all right,
Okay? And his contact information is on the conservation page as well. Email address and phone number.
okay,
All right.
yep,
Brian, one thing I didn't hear you say is that we ask people to do native plants within that 100-foot buffer of the wetlands. So once you know where your wetland line is, when you're choosing your plants from wherever you're gonna get them, we're looking for native species. So where you put your vegetable garden would also be part of like, would hope that that would be 100 feet away from the wetland line.
yes, of course. yeah.
But the plants that you're gonna replant should be natives, not foreign,
Right,
like no ginkgos and stuff like that.
yeah. Right, so that's what we plan to do. Once we know where the buffer is, then we can organize our plan and what suits the sun and the environment and the soil best.
Okay,
Are
so,
chickens allowed near the wetlands?
Not roosters, but I
Yeah,
think there
that-
is a.
you can, but you have to watch the output from a
Yeah.
chicken. That can't be near the wetlands, which makes it difficult to have a coop. Compost pile, again, not right near the wetlands, especially as close as you are, but I'm sure you could look that up. It is nothing I'm an expert in.
Permanent structure would be the bigger concern.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, the permits for the structure, yeah.
No, no.
Per-
a-
permanent
a-
structures
a
being
Permanent
like
structure. So the
25
way it
feet.
works is the scientist is going to delineate the wetland boundary.
Yeah,
25 feet from that boundary is a no disturb zone.
yeah,
You can't do anything in that zone. You can plant the trees and vegetation, but you can't do anything. An additional 10 feet, so 35 feet altogether, is no structure zone. So that's what he said by no permanent structure. The chicken coop would be a permanent structure. So another reason you couldn't do it that close. But those are
Yeah,
two
explain
two
that.
additional numbers you should be aware of. Okay, so we talked about a site visit. I would propose this Monday.
This Monday.
All right, so Monday at 8:30 is our typical time for starting site visit. So we'll be there Monday at 8:30. You're obviously welcome to be there. You don't have to be. So we're gonna go out there and look at the situation, take pictures, the usual.
That's
Okay.
Monday, July 13.
Yeah,
Is that gonna work for you?
Yeah, I think we can make that work. If not, who do we let know?
again, Chuck.
Okay,
Although, actually, that won't work because Chuck's not, he's on vacation. He won't be back to the 13th. So you can look on the website under Conservation Commission. And you can look for me, Brian Brewer, the chair. I have an email on there. So if you gotta let me know anything, just email that and I will check it out.
okay,
Okay. And then once Chuck is back, that would be a normal contact.
okay. And then we will hire the wetland scientist.
Yes.
Okay,
So again, I'm assuming you have some urgency. We certainly do. So want you to come back in our next meeting, the 22nd. At that point, presumably you have the wetland scientists picked out. I don't know how busy they are this time of year, so perhaps that won't be. But either way, you'll come back and you give us an update. Yes, we have somebody. Yes, they're going to start looking at this time so we can see the progress. Additionally, I would think that you could have the plans we're looking for put together by then, at least a first cut. So here's the work you intend to do on it, and here's what you're gonna do for a planting plan.
Mhm.
So if you get those done before the meeting, that's what you wanna do. You wanna get it submitted so we can look at it in the meeting.
Okay,
And ideally, it's a number of days before the meeting, so it can get distributed to all of us, so we can look at it. Right?
okay.
If it's the last minute, we can look at it, but we can't make decisions based on it because it wasn't enough time to deliberate.
So distribute it before the meeting.
You want to get it to Chuck, ideally 4 days before the meeting on the 22nd, so that Thursday before,
Okay,
because town hall is closed on a Friday. So the Thursday before the meeting, if you have it in then, it gives Chuck time to get it to us, so we can be prepared to look at it in the meeting. All right,
so I know there's a stop work order, the front of the house, that would be beyond the 100-foot buffer. Are we allowed to work there?
yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's just in the back, and I would say not any of the back, because we don't know where that line's going to end up being drawn. And again, where I'm afraid that it may come out into the right-hand back of the property, that may affect, well, if it comes in, that would affect where the line's drawn, so.
okay.
But the front, I believe, is safe.
Okay.
I'm wondering whether they need to put some erosion control down. Think it would be a good idea. I haven't been there. I don't know what it
Yeah.
looks like, but if the vegetation is all torn up, it would be good to have some erosion control along the property boundary so that if there's a big storm like yesterday, it doesn't all wash into the
I
wetland.
don't,
Luckily it didn't.
I don't think, it's pretty flat property. I don't think it'd be a problem, but it's a good precaution to take. So, excuse me, you have some erosion control across the back. And that can be, ideally, it's a silk sock, hay bales, something to protect it until whatever's going to be done is done and it gets stabilized. Right, and you should show erosion control as part of the plan you're gonna put together, what you're gonna do to protect it in the meantime.
Sometimes they're called mulch socks,
Yeah, it's another
Okay.
term. you can look for.
SOXX for
Yeah.
some reason.
I'm sure it's somebody's marketing. Okay. And when you do hire the wetland scientist, if you'll let Chuck know as soon as you've done that, the more information he has and therefore we have ahead of time, the more prepared we are for the meeting. All right.
Okay.
Is there any questions on this?
So did you guys want to add anything or?
We'll try to pull up more photos of it.
Excuse me, can you introduce yourself? Thank you.
I'm Mark Stakem. I was the real estate agent. So I was just gonna say that we'll try to pull up more photos that show, because not all the photos make it online, usually the pretty ones. So, because there were a few big down trees in the back, so we'll try to get more.
If you have more
Yeah.
information, by all means, send it to Chuck.
Okay, thank you.
The two main ones that we're thinking of, there were like 4 or so of the backyard. And there was one looking over a railing that showed a pretty good extent of the yard. And there was one from an angle
Yeah,
that showed a good view of most of the yard. So
Okay.
if you have one that has more information, by all
yeah,
means.
we'll try to get as many as possible, so it
Yeah.
paints as clear a picture as possible.
Good,
Thank you.
Any questions, comments from the commission members?
The tree counts, are we going to just try to do a best estimate of whether or not it's more than 4 trees to kind of approach next steps, or how do we handle
We're
that?
gonna do a tree count, and once we get a number that we're comfortable with, we'll take it from there. If it's 4, 104, whatever it is, we'll look at it once we have a number we think we can rely on.
Were stumps removed?
I didn't see any stumps. Were the stumps removed?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I didn't know if there were any under the pile to the right. Okay, so yes. Nothing else from anybody here? Chirag, no?
No.
Then You know, please get us as much information as you can, get that wetland scientist lined up. Get a plan, or plans to us, as soon as you can. So we can all get this wrapped up.
Public comment as well.
Hang on a second.
Ask for public comment as well. I don't see anybody online with their hand raised, but
Anybody here?
please
wanna
hit
do
the
public
react
comment?
button, raise hand function, and we can unmute you.
Seeing none?
Seeing none.
Now we see. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, have a good night. All right, so next is.
Just one thing, sorry, between the two ones, I'm just gonna step out for a little bit and be back in about 15 to 30 minutes. I have a work meeting in parallel.
Okay, so note that Chirag is stepping out at 7:31.
Thank you.
Okay. So next one is 38 Bond Street. This is an additional enforcement hearing. So I think I've talked about this in the past, at least generically. 38 Bond Street is a piece of property where there's actually a shed belonging to the homeowner that's on conservation land. However that was done, I don't know, but it's been there for a long time. It's not in great shape, but it's well onto conservation land. Quite some time ago, there was a hearing on it. And it was decided at that time by that commission that the shed could stay as long as the homeowner lived there, right? That's no longer true. He has passed on. And so at this point, we're asking the homeowner to remove the shed. Additionally, over the years, some grass outcropping has been grown back towards the shed. And so as part of this, once we talk to the homeowner, as part of the overall, we will need to have, of course, you have to stop growing that, mowing that grass is likely to gonna have to plant some plants. That'll all get covered when the homeowner comes in and we have that conversation. In the meantime, I did talk to the renter and I pointed out the boundary stones. And I told him you can't do anything past the boundary stones. Unfortunately, he had recently put in, I'm gonna call it a lawn structure, like a little statue or fountain or something. So he knows that that can't stay. I didn't tell him to remove it now, but he knows it can't stay. But when we talk to the homeowners, that'll have to be part of the overall discussion at that point. Chuck has a letter out to the homeowner, not the renter, the homeowner, and he hasn't got an answer back that I'm aware of. Again, he's on vacation, so we'll see if he gets anything when he comes back. But for now, this one will just be on the agenda for the next meeting. Okay, and it's enforcement item, so we don't need to do a motion to continue or anything. So that's it for our hearings. And that brings us to discussion and vote items. The first discussion item, Joe will give us an update on the Town Forest Committee meeting.
Sure. So 2 weeks back, I attended Town Forest Committee meeting out in the Town Forest at the what's the old council circle?
Fire circle.
The fire circle. It's quite nice. Jeff Lamson is still their chair. There were 2 topics for conservation. One was around a beaver dam, which they've spoken to with Chuck. I think some of us are aware of it here. I believe that's going to be handled through Chuck at a later discussion. And then secondarily, there was some brief discussion around potentially having our summit with all of kind of the environmental groups in town. So trails, town forest, conservation, and
Intrude a second.
yes.
Some of you are newer, you don't know what the summit is. Basically, Chuck pulled together a meeting of all those entities that Joe was talking about. Basically, anybody who has a mission similar to ours. And we got together at the cabin to tell each other about what we do, what kind of help we need, just basically to foster communication and ideally coordination amongst us. Back to you.
So there is interest in pursuing that, so I think there will be some coordination either through a future meeting here. I don't know if we need to discuss it as a group here for dates, but I think there'll be a proposal to at least try to host a summit for 2026.
Yes, I recall the last time getting the date was the thing that was a nightmare.
Right.
Because there was probably 30 people all together were trying to coordinate, it's always fun. There wasn't one last year.
We didn't have a cabin.
Because the cabin, we couldn't use it, and that's where we held the meeting the first time, but the cabin is still not available. There's been the idea of maybe holding it under the pavilion, which would be reasonable unless you have slanting rain coming down. but-
Or mosquitoes.
or mosquitoes. So, but there's an alternative. So yes, we should go ahead and figure out how to make this happen because it's useful.
That's it.
Okay, sorry for stepping in on
No
you.
worries. No, it's perfect.
Okay, so next is an update on the Mass Trails Grant application. Does everybody know what that's about? I don't know if you. So we submitted a couple of applications for a grant. The main one that we're interested in was trying to get some help, financial help in building a trail associated with the Recal Center on Simon's Way. The idea is that as part of the project, the town would have built, I'm gonna call them two trailheads, two bridgeheads. And then where they ended, we're gonna do a boardwalk that gets elevated in part. So that's the help we were looking for with the elevated part. We got a response back that we did not get the money. Apparently, there was lots of competition. Chuck has reached out to them to try and get a meeting with them to learn more. Why didn't we get it? What did they find insufficient? Whatever. And so that not gonna happen right away. They always have to focus on dealing with the money they are dispersing. And so at some point in the future, we'll have a meeting with them. And I say that positively because my understanding is that they usually want to have the meeting so you get a better grant proposal. So, and we can give you some more information on that as we get closer to whenever it is. Okay, that's it for that one.
That was only one grant.
Oh, the second grant was for utility vehicle. I think Chuck kept on calling it a Gator. That's one that we tried to get a donation for, what have you. In the end, we submitted this grant request, and that also was denied. And another place we're interested in trying to get some feedback. That one was the lesser important of the two, I would say. That trail, the way we envision it, the way it was planned, it would be an ADA trail associated with Recal, which is, among other things, it is a senior center. So it would be a natural fit. So that's why that one, at least in my mind, is more important. Okay, next is 1153 Main Street, request for certificate of compliance. This one has already been continued to August 12th, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. The next is old new business. We are always looking for qualified commission members. We do have a new one. Thought she was going to be here tonight. I'm not sure why she isn't. Chuck's not here. I'm going to blame him. But anyway, so we do have one new full-time member who will be joining us for next meeting, presumably. But we're still looking for more. How many do we have right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6 plus Joe.
Carl's associate. So we still have associates for sure.
Yes, I think 2 associate, or
Yeah. So next is violation notices. We've already talked about 38 Bond. We've talked about 10 Brentwood. The only thing I want to talk about further is 445 Pearl Street. I went by there. And the southern bank, which is the one that's most shaded surprisingly, looks pretty good. That has grown in pretty well, so I don't know if they actually filled where the erosion channels were, or was just grown in, but either way, it looks in pretty good shape. The northern bank still needs more. It needs to grow more. Whether or not they'll plant more or anything, I don't know, but at the very least, it still is not complete and satisfactory at this point. So I keep an eye on it. And before I forget, next meeting, we are going to put the vote for chair, vice chair on the agenda so we can actually have that vote. So with any kind of luck, a new person will be the deciding vote, which would be fairly amusing. But anyway, so that'll be next meeting. And the last thing is minutes for approval. There are two listed, but the only one we have so far is actually June 10th. You all received June 10th? Okay. Then can I have a motion to accept the minutes for June 10th as amended?
I'll make a motion to accept the June 10th minutes as amended.
Walter Talbot seconds, Walter Talbot's in favor.
Tim Michelle in favor.
Rick Keough in favor.
Chuck?
He hasn't
Yeah.
rejoined.
No.
Okay.
Right. Martha Moore in favor.
Brian Bowe in favor. Okay.
So that's 5-0, right?
All right, that's all we have on the agenda. Any comments before we adjourn? Anything to bring up? Chuck, how about you? No, okay. So then can I have a motion to adjourn at 7:42.
I move to adjourn at 7:42.
Talbot seconds.
All in
Walter
favor?
Talbot's in favor.
All in favor, say aye. Okay, thank you.
The ayes have it.
The ayes have it. Mr. Lincoln.
Should somebody let Sherrod know we're
Yeah, shoot him a text.